What's up, Donnie?
Yo,
Welcome to show number 36 of the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie show, sponsored by the Mr. Beacon Tap, Mr. Tommy Reamer. How's my Donnie Rollins doing today, buddy? How are you?
we're doing all right. We're doing all right, man. It's been a productive week.
Yeah.
Excited about tonight. This is a first for us with multiple guests coming on the show, and it's exciting. And Jimmy, I have to give you some credit before we get into everything tonight. You called me about 2.5 weeks ago. You said, "Hey, would it be crazy if we had 8 people on the show at once?" And I said yes. And here we are tonight, moving right into what we probably would consider as a crazy idea, but it's cool to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I think even last week, like when we were interviewing Berger, I was really excited, obviously, about that show. But we knew what we were doing this week too, and I think it was something that we've been waiting to do. I think it's been awesome. In the future, we want the roundtable between the Hall of Fame and the SSA guys, the board members, right? Realistically, that would be our goal. Not that any change is ever going to happen in softball, as we well know, but either way, maybe.
Right.
It's a slight maybe, but hey, either way, we're still going to do our show. We're still going to help improve softball. We're going to bring different elements to the game that I think no one else has ever brought. So, and then with the support of everybody else, I think week to week, as you know, Donnie, we get a ton of calls, a ton of support. So obviously we thank all those people that follow us in the chats, all those people that are out there, sharing our posts, sharing our videos, all that good stuff. So it's been
I want to say that
opportunity. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right with people calling us and texting us about who's the next week's guest. We couldn't put too many spoilers out there this week, as I couldn't pick one specific guy that we were excited to talk to, so we brought on 5 more. I know you've got all the background on all the guys coming on the show tonight. Some of them kind of out of my realm in terms of time frame as to when they played. Really quick, let's do a quick shout out. Big Mix in the house. Steve Burke is watching the show. Steve, what's going on? We want to touch on that tournament win before we get into everything tonight, Jim, over at the Shorewood Dome for you. Lafrano says great idea. The Kevin Duffs are in the house. We appreciate seeing Kevin Duff. Just don't tell the Koronkowskis that Kevin's watching.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to do that. I actually had the pleasure of seeing Timmy Koronkowski yesterday. His son Eli played one of our GoPro teams at the Dome.
Oh, cool.
So I was having a nice conversation with him and Jack, and got into many things. But always a good time to see Mr. Koronkowski.
Yeah, he's entertaining for sure. But how about that Goodwood team winning that overnight tournament? How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was quite incredible run for them. They I think the first game they pretty much, I think they blew out. I know they won by slaughter rule in the championship, but the previous 2 games, I think they had a little bit of tough road. I mean, their second game wasn't crazy, like close, but it was close enough, Their first game they played, I believe, the Fat Kids, I believe it was. So
not an easy opponent at all.
No, and honestly, they have they have some strong kids on that team. They're fast, they run, So there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on with that squad. I know they put some new players on that team, which is awesome to see. I
Yep.
know they took a couple guys off Los Barachos.
Demons. I know they got Hector, right? Hector or my guy Rocco Curio
Right.
for those guys in the lineup. But it's funny, Steve Burke texted me the night of the tournament. I didn't see it. I failed to get back to him. He said, "What's the spread tonight for our Goodwood team?" And I just failed to reply. As like a real jerk. But I'll tell you what.
Johnny Rollins is not a jerk.
No, that wasn't. He must have texted the wrong guy. But I'll tell you what. I'm happy for those guys. I like Steve Burke. He's a great supporter of our show as well. He watches every week. But he said in the message, we got a lot better. And it was cool to see that their team played pretty good.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's an awesome thing. And they now have won they're the first team ever to win 2 tournaments in the GoPro Sports Dome. So they actually won the A tournament that I ran early on. And then they won this past weekend. So I saw Nick McKinney's post there. You see that every time Donnie touches his hair,
you'd be hammered. You'd be hammered.
You know what? I'm drinking water right now, so
yeah.
I'll
be fine.
Sure, I'll do that. But next week we should easily do that every time. We have a game tomorrow. We have a game tomorrow night, my man.
We are playing tomorrow. I'm excited about it. Haven't been out there in a minute. I don't think much in the last month we haven't played since your famous TikTok dance.
Yeah,
it's funny. I had a customer today by the name of Brian Barzowski and his dad, Billy Barzowski, were in my store getting fit for golf clubs. Yeah. And I said, what do you think of the show? And Brian, his son, goes, I saw Jimmy do a dance on TikTok. That was the only takeaway he had from the show.
I don't know if that's good or bad for us, but we'll take it as a win.
It's a great thing. I'll tell you, it's great. He was like, "Oh, I saw Jimmy's dance," and I was like, "That's all you need to know about our show."
So, really quick before we hop in we have a lot of people on in the chat room right now. But before we get to the Hall of Famer, where do you work? Because I've been asked that question. Do you bounce around for that company, or
I'm in one spot. Store? One spot. We're in Oakbrook Terrace, so right off of like Summit Avenue and
like Lombard.
Correct. Joel said I need a haircut, so that's Joel.
Good question, Joel. Happy haircut today for Uncle Jimmy.
Did you? Did you go to Joel?
It's Tuesday, dude. I always get haircuts on Tuesday. You know that.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't know what she did on the right side there, but we'll work with it. Maybe it's just I don't know.
I got to get some time to come and see it.
It looks pretty good from a full day worth of work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it looks great. It's great.
Absolutely. So let's head on to our guest tonight. We have. I think I'm incredibly excited about what's going on tonight. This is probably a first ever in softball.
Yeah.
Probably an incredible thing in regards to what we're putting together for the Hall of Fame. I know Paul Rowland has been a big supporter of us. Al Mag has been an awesome supporter of us in regards to allowing us to give away his Hall of Fame books. But having these guys on tonight to hear the history of softball, I think is a tremendous thing for not only for the old, but also for the young coming in, right? If we want to build for the future, history is an important part of that. So I think, as we get into tonight, I know, Donnie, we have a question. This is our first ever debate. We're going to have probably 7 different people on the screen. Are you excited or what?
I love this. Like I said, it was a crazy idea that you had one day, like bright and early in the morning. Called me 8:15, said, I have a crazy idea. Do you think it'll work? And I originally said no.
Yeah.
And like I said, here we are. So you made it happen and kind of put the feelers out. We have some really cool guests coming on the show tonight.
Yes. And before we get to the guests, because we're going to bring them on one by one live. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do it and introduce them just to let them know who we are. And then why don't we get to the chat? Because are you pulled up? You have the people in front of you? Because I see a ton of people that just jumped on right now.
I don't.
Okay. So I'm going to say hello to Greg Mara, John Crawford, Joseph Austin, Joe Caputo, Jeff Otto, Jackie Reed, James Sheldon, Steve Majerus said I have great hair. Thank you, Steve. See, now he wins Customer of the Week. Love it. Follower of the Week. Mr. Rich Battistoni. Richie Battistoni has to be a future guest. show, just so you know. I think he'd be incredible.
He'll be on.
Yes, for sure. Dustin Oakes, a gentleman I used to work with in the banking world. Welcome to the show. Mr. Pete, not my nephew, Pete Krell from the, I believe he was on Menace. I think he's back on Demons. I don't know what he's doing. He's flipping always back and forth. And
Demons.
then Mr. Alexander Rice. So Mr. Al Rice has just joined the show, and he says, welcome, Uncle Jim. So, yes, hello, Mr. Al Rice. So I'm going to bring him on one by one. I know I see we got 7 people in there now. First one I'm going to bring on here is Mr. Jim McCarthy. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. So I see you're rocking the Michigan gear.
Yeah, rock and proud. It's been a hell of a year. We'll put it that way for sure.
You're one proud papa. Let's just say that, all right?
Yeah, it's awesome. And all the support from the softball community has been amazing. I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of Notre Dame guys on the south side, but there were, some converted Michigan lovers, so it was good. It was good. So absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun.
I know we have a couple guys kind of jumping on a little late tonight, but that's okay. But I'm glad you're on. I'm going to bring on Mr. Tom Nepety. How are you, sir?
How you doing?
You are live, Mr. Tom Nepety. How are you? Just good. Adjust your camera there a little bit so we can see your face.
There you go.
Welcome to the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie show.
Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Richie Kaz, I think, is here on this black screen. I don't know what Richie Kaz is doing. Richie, are you there, buddy? He's having a little technical difficulties. Maybe he'll have to hop off and get back on. Next gentleman we're bringing to the show is Kurt. What's up, my man? How are we doing?
Good. 60 degrees in Iowa today, man. We're getting close to ready to start playing.
Yes. Let's get after it, right? So let's get after it. Appreciate you joining. I'm going to bring on the next guest from Iowa, Mr. Brad Van Meter. Did I say that right, Brad?
You got it. Yep.
Brad, you look like you're shining like you're on the sun. What's going on? There we go. All right. You all right back there?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Awesome. Let me get the captions off of our guy, Mr. Jim.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah, you blocked him off the screen, Jim.
Yeah, I will block him off the screen.
Really quick, before we get into everything tonight, we got to thank you guys for coming on the show and just kind of being a part of the program here. And what an honor to be on the 16-inch softball Hall of Fame ballot. And we'd like to see everybody kind of get in here. And we had Mark Holstein and Marty Dozen on the show as a previous guest. So we're just keeping that theme rolling with stud softball players who kind of are a huge part of the game.
Yeah, and before we even get started with question, guys, we're going to have Richie Kaz is having some technical difficulties. He's going to be joining us here shortly, and so is Sharif Walker. He's actually reffing a game. He's ending about 9 o'clock, so I told him he would be on by about 9:20. So we're going to go ahead and obviously get started, and then the other two gentlemen, one, Mr. Mike Cross from the Iowa team, he's actually, I believe he's coaching basketball as we speak. He said he's going to try to jump on tonight as well. And then Anthony Tyler, respectively, declined our invitation for tonight. So,
Jimmy, why did he respectfully decline?
Just because he didn't want to look. I'm much better looking than him, and he didn't want to be the second prettiest guy on the screen. So,
hey, third or fourth.
Which I understand,
Yeah.
Richie Kaz is still having problems. He's still a black screen here. So, Richie, there? Problems.
No, he's echoing.
Yeah, he's
you guys hear me?
So I don't know what's going on with him, but we'll get him on eventually. Hopefully he could find a computer or a cell phone without Wi-Fi and have him join the feed. So, well, guys, we appreciate you joining tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have a ton of questions to ask you four gentlemen, and we're going to have a couple more here joining us shortly. But I'm going to start with you, Kurt. I know you've been on our show a couple times. How we're going to do this is we're going to call you guys by name. We're going to ask you some questions. We'll probably start with, asking a question about give a little bit of an intro. So just during your intro, just tell us a little bit how long you played, who you played for, and just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, just so that way we know the ballots are open. Obviously, ballots are still going through February 28th or 29th in a month. We've had over 2,000 people already vote, which is incredible from the standpoint of the Hall of Fame. You know, and it's also the fan vote is very important. I mean, it's 10% of the actual vote to get in. So, Kurt, I'm going to start with you. Just a quick little introduction and just kind of tell us how long you've played and when you started, what team you started with.
So I started back in '86, and I'm actually still playing, although some would say that is a loose description of what I do. But started out playing with a team called the Skate Town Rollers. That team morphed into Carpet Country, which we were together about 5 years. And then a whole slew of teams after that. The Graphic Edge, which Mike Cruz, who may join us later, he was a big part of those teams before I joined. And then we were with Iguana Jakes, Monsoon, and then Drink was another team we were with. And then most recently, Old Timer Tavern. And I'll be with the Chucks group this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We definitely appreciate that. Look at who finally got on the feed. My man, Richie. You figured it out, dude.
Apparently, I have to use my cell phone.
That's okay. You know, those Boost Mobile laptops you probably have in that house don't work.
It's the burner.
It's the burner. I got you. So next to join the feed, obviously, I'm just going to go in the line. Mr. Jim McCarthy, welcome, sir, to the show. I know you're a newcomer. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, you know, when you started playing, what was the team you started with? Give us a little background about yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to see so many, especially the Iowa guys. I remember taking many trips to Cedar Rapids and Marshalltown to play CJ's, Graphic Edge, Carpet Country, you name it. Were those some great times. Great times. But Jim McCarthy, a lot of guys in the softball world knew me as junior. I was always the youngest guy, usually on the team at the time. And, you know, started playing recreational ball in North Riverside, Illinois. And I met this amazing man named Lane Neiman. And Lane Neiman, when I was, good Lord, I think 16 years old, he took me in and he says, Junior, we're going to call you Junior. You're going to come in. You're going to play with the RZA Rockers. And I thought I was king shit when I got to play with the RZA Rockers, because I'll be honest, Lane Neiman, if everybody knows him in the industry, he's one of the greatest men you could ever meet in your life. He's the greatest family man. I say his family is first family of 16-inch softball. Laura, what she had to put up with that man for so many years, and God bless him. Yeah. And another thing, Tyler's probably not on because Jeff took his thunder last week, so Tyler can't talk. So that whole, you know, Anthony's, he needs to sit this one out because Jeff talks too much.
It's funny. It's funny you just said that about Berger. He just texted me right now, and he said he just wants to wish the very best of luck to all the nominees for the Hall of Fame. So I thought that was really nice of him. Even though we're going to cut him up tonight on the show.
This is the first nicest thing he said in a long time. But no. So, you know, just to really just put a little snapshot into it, I started with the RZA Rockers. I think Marty Dozen and I started playing together at the same exact time. You know, we played as much as we can. Lane let me play. I played college football too. So I got to play as long as up to usually Labor Day weekend. I had to cut it off because we were starting our football season. But with that being said, the greatest experience in the world was to play with the Rockers. But there got to a point where Jeff was obviously playing. Jeff Berger was playing major ball, and the great late Stan Paddock asked me to come and be the leadoff hitter for Pugliese. And there was a run right there when it was really simple. We know the great Jimmy Matlock says, he goes, Junior, it's real simple. You're going to lead off for this team. Just get on base. It don't matter. I don't care if you walk. I don't care what. Just get on base. Because when you ran Murderer's Row, you know, when I had Matlock behind me, Berger, Filkins, Jono, you know, Denny Garner, Frankie Momo, God rest his soul, Eddie Chibi, the great J.B. Bischoff. You know, I got to run with those guys and be their leadoff hitter for multiple years, which we were Pugliese for a couple whiles, and then then we turned into Bucks, a great sponsor. And you know what? It just was some of the greatest times that I had in the 90s and 2000s when, you know, my game was playing at the top. But, you know, then you move on and I started having kids and doing other things, and the kids got busy and my son got busy, and Stan would always bring me back on Impact. But then Ralphie Lawrence brought me over to Flash and kind of not brought me out of retirement, but I got to play 3 years with Flash, some more national, Forest Park titles, and with Randy and Bobby and, the Lawlers and, our Ralphie's son and my son played hockey together. And one of the greatest things too is when you get to see, when your kids are out there shagging balls, Forest Park, we could go into that, but it's one of those moments in softball that when your kids can be a part of something like that you just did for the past 20 years of your life, and then it goes by, and now you see those kids grow up, and they're the ones playing the great game. Yep. It's just awesome. It's just awesome when you can go full circle with it. So that's a little snapshot of my illustrious softball world. But
we appreciate you joining the show. We know we all have busy schedules, and I know your schedule has been extremely busy over the last couple months. So
your schedule is a little bit different than some of our other schedules these last years. You've been traveling a whole lot.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome, guys. I appreciate it. It's been the ride of our life, and now we're just hopefully cross our fingers, stay healthy, and everything goes well in Detroit come in the April for him.
Absolutely. He'll be on the Denver Broncos. Don't worry about it.
Hey, we like it.
So, Richie Kaz, you're next, my man. Give us a little background about yourself, your playing ability, which we know is second to none. I know your handsome looks, everything about you. Give us a little background about yourself, when you started, the team you started with, and all that good stuff. And I'm going to take the stroll off the bottom of your face.
All right. Yeah. So I graduated high school in May of '91. My dad and my uncles put a team together at Oriole Park on the north side that same year. So June of '91, I started playing with my dad and my uncles, which was something that I will always cherish. Not too often do you get to play with your dad or your uncles for that matter, because usually a bit older. So then I kind of bounced around the park leagues for a little bit with Webby 13, Balls Deep, and Tide. And then my uncle Ron Kaz got me a spot with Red Dog with Wally Pat. So I played with them for a couple. And then the North Stars for a few. Won the A National with the Lemonheads, and then 2000 with the Trojans. And then I hooked up with Del Malazzo. And then I was with the Bucketheads, Windy City Signature for 15 years. And currently I'm with Circus. My time has been limited there with my son and his travel basketball during the summer. So I haven't been out much lately, but yeah, that's kind of the rundown on that. We with Signature, Windy City, we had a nice little run. In the 2010s, we did some damage there, and yeah, so that's pretty much that's where I'm at. 30 plus years playing this game that is comparable to none. Everybody looks forward to May so they can get out and start playing some softball with their boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely, man. Definitely. You're here tonight. We have a ton of questions for all you guys.
Yeah,
grab something to drink. Go ahead, Donnie.
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of guys that like their goal in softball is to almost play with their kids. Like someone very well, Rich, Kevin Duff. They said, why do you still play? Why are you so dedicated to this game still? And he said, I want to play with my son. And Jimmy Moretti says the same thing. Timmy Koronkowski, they all kind of mentioned that, and you got a chance to experience that. And speaking very highly of that is pretty nice to see. I mean, that's a goal for a lot of these guys. Yeah,
if I can real quick too. Kevin Duff's my son-in-law, so it's awesome. It was awesome playing with him, and then my son Tommy also. I got to play with him, so kind of it's pretty cool.
It's great.
Well, Rich, we appreciate you being here. I don't know what Tommy's doing over there, but Tommy, all right, buddy?
I think his Hawthorne cup finally spilled.
Technical difficulties.
That's all right, my man.
While I'm trying to get my crap together here.
I hear you, buddy. We appreciate you joining tonight, Tommy. You are one of the men that I know very well. Been a Southside player for many years. Played with a lot of good teams, a lot of top teams. Started out with Jeff Berger back in the day. Tommy, tell us a little bit about the first team that you kind of started with. And then just tell us a little bit about yourself. I think we lost him again. Oh, he's having some problems over there.
Is Nepp on a roller coaster right now?
I don't know. This is fucked up.
Nepp, are you on a roller coaster or what? You all right?
All right, let's see if that works.
Glad it's not just me.
So, shit, it was all good till I'm ready to go on. So you asked the question where I started. I really started playing with my old man out here at Hickory Hills, the local parks, and I also played in Clyde. I think my first game was in Clyde, and I think Berger was on the team. I think he was 17, I was 18.
Yeah.
But in Hickory, we were always playing up against Johnny Pellegrino and his neighborhood thugs. So he saw something in me, and he recruited me, and we got on the Rebels, and we played in the locals for a while, and then he wanted to do better than that. So we started playing in some tournaments and moved on to better things. And then did a stint with the Rabbits with Wally Peck. That was an interesting year or half year. I had the Luciano Gamblers in there, Stickmen, Jinx, great bunch of guys. Crush, who am I forgetting? I think I hit all the big ones though. But I think that's most of the big ones. So yeah, I kind of bounced around. We did well in different tournaments at the A level and some crossover tournaments and major stuff. So I've been playing since mid '80s and just kind of gave it up a few years ago because my knees and back can't do it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I know you were an incredible short center. I got a chance to play against you, as well as Richie Kaz, obviously Kurt as well. Some of you guys on the screen when I was young. So I do remember you, and I always give you credit. You stayed with that Rebels team, kind of the whole way, which is an incredible thing to see, and we definitely thank you for that. So thank you for being here tonight, my man.
Appreciate it.
Brad Van Meter. You know what? I don't think I've ever played against you. I don't think I've ever met you. So it's an incredible honor to have you on the show tonight. I think it's awesome, especially better than these other four guys. You know what I'm saying, Brad? So
Jimmy, you'd remember because he was the mouthiest guy on our team.
Okay. All right. Well, even better. Maybe I get him a jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a special team. So, but go ahead, Brad. Give us a little details about yourself.
Sure. Hey, and congratulations on everyone that's on the ballot. I think it's a awesome honor, and you guys were all great players. Right? I remember many of you. Of course, I played with Kirk for 17 years, but I started in 1981 with a team called Sports Afoot out of Marshalltown. I just home for the summer college, got a phone call from actually a guy that went into the Hall of Fame, Illinois Hall of Fame a couple years ago from Iowa, the first player, Tim Walker. His late uncle, Stan Carnes, ran this Sports Afoot team in 1981. I was home for the summer from college, called me up, said, "You want to come out and practice a couple of times with us?" I went out. I couldn't hit the ball past the pitcher. I was frustrated, baseball swing. And, but I just kind of fell in love with it. And then it just took off from there. Kurt started about 5 years after me. And it's kind of funny. You guys were just talking about playing with your kids. And I would have loved to play with my boys. I have a 24 and 22-year-old boy. But Kirk actually played with my boy the last 2 years, Brandon, which is really strange because we started playing together in about 90. And then 35 years later, Kurt's still playing with my boys. So that was kind of a neat experience. I've been out of the game since 2006. Probably some of the better teams that I enjoy, or I shouldn't say better teams, but the teams I really enjoyed playing with in the 80s, a team called Crampman's. You guys might know Chad Crampman. It was his father's team. He was his brother-in-law and a great guy. And then into the early 90s, it was Carpet Country when Kirk and I started playing together in 91 through 96. And then a Graphic Edge for 3 or 4 years. And then Old Timer was the last 4 or 5 years. So, some great experiences, great times. We had competitive teams and just loved Labor Day weekend. That was always, the highlight. We worked everything all year for Labor Day, and that's when we wanted to do our best. And obviously we haven't won too many national titles outside of Illinois, but it's always been great playing against Illinois players.
Well, Brad, we appreciate you coming out tonight. We appreciate you on the feed, on the show. Hopefully you're going to have the time of your life tonight with us because Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie are pretty
life.
I've watched your show several times.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate that, Brad.
Yeah.
Sharif, what's going on? Really quick before you make your introduction of who you are, where did you ref tonight? Oh, he's on mute.
Oh,
All No, he's mic'd up. It's got to be on his end. You're on mute somewhere, Sharif. There you go. Can you talk? Hop back off and hop back on. We'll come right back to you. Man, we're having some trouble tonight, huh?
I don't know what.
That's okay. That's all right. So
Rich, you don't feel alone now, Rich, do you?
No, actually, I feel pretty good about myself.
That's awesome. So before he hops on, really quick, Tommy, you got that cup?
Yeah, well, it's holding up my phone right now.
Oh, okay. Don't move it.
There.
Don't move it. I don't want to go on the roller coaster ride.
There you go.
All right, guys. So
Roller coaster.
The old Hawthorne is from 1999.
That doesn't look like beer.
It's the old beer mug. I drink water now.
Tommy, is that the old Hawthorne mug?
Yeah, it's an old Hawthorne mug. It's 25 years old. I've been drinking water out of it for 25 years now.
Imagine if we had some of those old style mugs from the Grand Park tournament.
Yeah, if I went through my car, I'd find one.
Right? Richie, you remember. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Times out there.
So I don't want to get on the question too because he's trying to hop back on. I want him to be with us. But Donnie, why don't we? I'm going to hand it over to you really quick before he hops on. I'm going to say hi to some guests if you have it in front of you, if you don't mind. I don't
have that. I know we just had a comment from Jeremy Lefrano and Ken Barron. Dave Butterfield Sr. is on the show. John Canena says, great show, guys. Brian Fry gives a shout out to Tommy Knapp. Paul Wetzig says, Tommy Knapp, appreciate you guys for commenting. Dave Padilla is in the chat saying great stuff. We appreciate the comments as always, guys. Tyler Slagle says congrats. So the congrats going out to you guys being on the Hall of Fame ballot. Jimmy, if I missed anybody that's just jumping on the show.
Yeah, so let me just say hi to Ken Barron, Mr. Jackie Reed, Jim Schumacher, Tommy Clorlett, William Russ. That's a my guy Will, probably drinking a cool somewhere. Joseph Austin, Marcus Webb. Welcome, guys, all to the show. Jen Mary Michelle, which is a friend of mine. Jack Marino, welcome. You mentioned Dave Padilla, welcome. And then Anthony Stacy just jumped on. So we appreciate everyone. And I believe our man, Sharif, should be back. Let's see if he's got. Go ahead. Sharif, how are you? Can you hear us? He walked away from us. Is he back or is he must be having trouble with his computer, huh? All right. Well, I don't know what he's doing.
The first time Sharif tried to jump on, he was in a moving vehicle. So we appreciate his dedication to the show. Still doing it while driving. So hopefully he can jump on while he's sitting in the comfort of his home. Right.
And we lost Nepody again, but that's okay. So Kurt, we're going to hand it back over to you. We're going to get on to the questions and some of the things we want to talk about tonight on the show. We obviously have a full 2 hours of stuff that we want to get through. There's Nepody, he's back.
Yeah, hey, my idiot friend, and she knows who it is. Stop calling me because it's jacking up my phone. It freezes everything up, and I got to go out and come back in.
No worries. It's awesome. So, Kurt, we're going to hand it right over to you. My next question is kind of, softball, obviously we play our whole life. It's a passionate sport. We donate a ton of time to what we do. What would getting in the Hall of Fame mean to you?
Well, obviously, when you start out playing, I didn't even know the Hall of Fame existed. And then when our Carpet Country team got recognized by the Hall of Fame, I think it was like 2016, and we went to that awards dinner that they have and saw what a big presentation that it was. It was very cool. At first, I considered it an honor being on the ballot for the Chicago Hall of Fame. I know that it amongst some people it's a sore subject whether Iowa players belong in there or not, and I respect that. I really do. But I look at the Chicago Hall of Fame as really the National Hall of Fame for 16-inch softball, given how little recognition Oklahoma City gives to our game. And so, after playing as many years as I have and and attending a few of those dinners and seeing what it's about and the people that are in it, it'd be an understatement to say it would mean a lot to me, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, definitely appreciate that. Jim, I'm going to hand it right over to you there, Jim. Tell us what getting in the Hall of Fame would mean to you.
Growing up, watching the game, and I remember, my dad taking me over to Forest Park and watching those tournament games, and it was just you see it, and when you're a part of it, and it's just something that, the game itself, what it brings for families is what it brings, personally. You see some of the greats that you played against and the greats that you had that are now alone in this standalone building that's, at a park that you used to play, so many games there, as a kid, just going over and pretending you could be, one day be a 16-inch player at that possible, at that level. And you never stop playing. You remember the days that we all jumped fields and played 3 games in one night, whatever it took. And to me, it would be an absolute special moment, if I was selected, in the Hall of Fame, because I feel like a lot of my great teammates that I played with, I just, I always felt like if I could be known as just being one of the greatest teammates to play with, that would be pretty awesome, So it's kind of a guy like Dennis Gardner. If you played back in the day, everyone knew Denny Gardner. Denny Gardner was talking about one of the greatest teammates in the world. I could say him, he's Hall of Famer. And with that being said, if you could get in those kind of categories, the Denny Gardners, the Jeff Bergers, the Matlacks, the Filkins, the Russes, your name goes on, it would be pretty awesome. It would mean a lot to us.
We got a cool comment from Scotty Herdecki, probably towards Jimmy, says, I got a feeling. It's probably an inside joke between the two.
Yeah, that's because of Lawler's Bar. Scotty knows, that's Lawler's Bar. It was every time we won a championship in Forest Park, whatever. Scotty knows. We got a feeling. And then it would come on, be dancing the night away.
I love that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're gonna thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. We're gonna head it right over to Nepedy, and we have a comment that just came in for you. Don Goose Flanagan said, Nepedy hit 4 triples against us in Mount Prospect in one game. You were like Jackie Robinson, he said.
Don't remember any of that. I'll have to verify that with Pellegrino.
All right, no problem. We appreciate that. So Tom, we know that what your background and everything, well, for all of you guys, but what would getting in the Hall of Fame mean to you guys?
Well, a lot of what you guys just said, early on, you don't even know that there is a Hall of Fame and you're just playing for the love of the game, but then, you start seeing these guys get in, and these are a lot of guys that I played with, a lot of guys who are close friends. And it's like, it'd be cool to be in that club with those guys. But on the other hand, I also come from a softball family. My dad grew up playing, my mom played, my brother played, so it'd be cool to have some sort of legacy that's permanent. Once you're in, you're in. They can't take that away from you. And then also was mentioned, the days of going to 3 different parks and trying to hit Prospect and Clyde and Hodgkins and, whatever else. It's a full-time job during softball season, and in the 90s, late 90s, I started having a family, and, I wasn't there for a lot of it. And I think it'd mean a lot, to at least show my kids that I got something out of it.
Amen, Tony.
7 days a week. So I think that would mean a lot to, to be able to show the kids, hey, at least Dad got some kind of accolades out of being a semi-absent father.
Absolutely. Nepedy, you're one of a kind, my man. Love it. Thank you for that. Richie Kaz, buddy, what would it mean getting in the Hall of Fame to you?
Oh, just kind of touch on these guys. It would mean everything. You dedicate, 30 plus years to this game. You miss family parties, birthdays, baptisms, and it's because you love the game as much as you do, so it would mean absolutely everything. You'd be lying if you said it didn't mean anything. You dedicated so much time to this, dragging my wife and my kids as little babies out to Forest Park to not miss a tournament, so kind of like Tommy said, it's to show your kids and, your family that you wasted all this time playing this game you love. This is why we did it,
Yep.
So it would mean everything.
Richie,
Yeah.
you're still involved with that circus team. I mean, you're probably still doing that to this day with the tournaments and stuff that they're in. It's cool to see the longevity of that.
Yeah, it's the last couple of years. Like I said, it's been kind of rough because my son plays travel basketball. So the year that they won Forest Park, unfortunately, my son was winning his national in Nashville, Tennessee. So it was a win-win. You know, I was sad to miss it with the boys. You know, with Dags and all those guys, and Kevin and Joey Caputo, who I've been playing with for 15 plus years. You know, he's a horse. That kid. He's always hurt, but he's always out there. You know, so to miss that, but to see my son win his tournament was, you know, it almost didn't mean much missing that tournament with the boys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, the passion out of this group is incredible, and it's a reason why I believe, you know, every one of you guys are on the Hall of Fame ballot. It's an incredible thing to see players. You know, I've played close to 15, almost 20 years now. Donnie, I'm getting old, dude.
You sure are, Jim. I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah.
Starting the show too.
But either way,
Start the show.
I don't know.
I think it's the haircut.
Yeah. Dude, like, happy haircut day. Look at that thing. It's awesome. But either way, Brad, let's get over to you. Enough with Richie Kaz. Let's get over to you. Tell us what it would mean to get in the Hall of Fame.
It's the ultimate honor. It really is. I mean, and honestly, just being on the ballot is a huge honor. Iowa State, you know, we know it takes a lot for you guys to open that up and offer it to players in other states. I know that came with a lot of controversy, and probably still is some people that aren't real happy about it. But I think it's really cool that they've done that, and they've offered to let players outside of the state, because like Kirk said, it really is a national Hall of Fame. I mean, you can't find a higher level of 16-inch softball than right in Chicago. And so, I mean, if you really think about every state that plays 16-inch having their own Hall of Fame, if there was going to be a national Hall of Fame, where would it be? I mean, right here or right there. So, yeah, once again, extremely proud and honored to be on the ballot. If I got into the Hall of Fame, it'd be fantastic. It'd be a great honor, and I'd be extremely happy about that. But if it doesn't happen, then again, you know, really happy to be on the ballot too. So,
absolutely, us Chicago people are pretty cool.
Yeah, all right.
You know, we're not bad.
So it's a great comment from Jeremy Lafrano. Really quick, Jim, if I could read that. Jeremy says, "Just want to say I've played either with or against every guy on the screen, and every one of you men deserve the chance to be in the Hall. Wish you all the best of luck on getting in." And then Tim Walker said what Jeremy said. So high praise for you fellas in the chat tonight, which is awesome. Jeremy, thank you for that comment. That's really cool.
Is mic working yet?
Yeah, there you go.
You know what, Sharif? I was just going to head over to you. There you are, my man. What's going on?
Running, man. Just running from basketball court to home and trying to get this thing to work.
Awesome. Well, we're going to stay with you here for the next couple minutes because these guys have already answered a couple questions. So I wanted just to let you, tell everyone about yourself, where you started playing softball, and kind of your major career and what you've done in the game. And just give a little background about yourself. And then the second question is really what it means to get into the Hall of Fame for yourself. So those are the two that we got through. So I'm going to hand the mic right over to you.
Man, interesting thing. I was looking through some old stuff and found this jersey. I was going to wear this thing, but it's a medium. I can't wear this. But this is my original Flames jersey from when I first started playing when I was 17. Wow. 17 years old. I'm 53 now, and I still have this Flames jersey because it meant that much to me. But that's when I started playing softball. I grew up on the north side. I'm a Rogers Park kid, so I grew up playing baseball in Potawatomi Park and played softball in James Park in Evanston and Potawatomi and Clarendon Park, and then we would do this drive to the south side and go play at Dunbar Park, and that's. That was a whole different culture of softball for me. So it was a lot of fun and a lot different. But that's how I kind of grew up, playing baseball and softball. And that was my alternative to the streets. A lot of my friends didn't play organized softball. So they weren't hanging with me when I was hanging in the park. Only a couple of those guys played. But it definitely was that opportunity to get away from some of the things we were involved with as kids. It was a haven, and the guys that were out there playing softball were just a different breed. They weren't going to allow you to get into trouble. They weren't going to allow you to, tear up the park. They weren't going to allow you to be involved in a whole lot of mischief. Really, they wanted to see you develop as a softball player and help their team, right? It was all the young guys. I was a shortstop and a third baseman and a catcher in baseball. And, the first thing they do when they get a young guy in the park playing softball is you go to the outfield. And I don't play outfield, but that's where they throw you, and you got to figure it out there. So I watched a lot of great softball players when I was a kid play softball in the park. And James Jackson, Dr. J, he started the Flame softball team. There was a lounge on the south side called the Gaslight Lounge. And so they created the Flames from the Gaslight Lounge. And my mom actually dated Dr. J, and they also created a women's team called the Burners. Now, my mom was no athlete, but she loved being in the park, so she learned how to pitch. Just about anybody could pitch. That's why all us old guys go to the mound, right, Jimmy? So there were two teams representing that lounge, the Flames and the Burners, and both of those teams played out in Dunbar Park on Sundays, and that was our kind of getaway to the park. And all, I started when I was 17, but I was in that park since I was like 8 years old. And Charlie from Rack City and all us guys were little kids playing on the side softball in the park until we were old enough to play with the guys. We would come to the park and just hope our team would be short, right? Because that was your opportunity to fill in, and they throw you out there in right field at 12 years old or 13, so they don't have to forfeit. And that was your introduction to the game. So that's kind of how I started with the Flames. And then I went on and, the Flames played park leagues for the most part. And Young Guns started playing in Dunbar Park when I was like 20, 21 years old. And those guys would ask me to go play tournaments with them. So I would go play with the Young Guns until, the level of competition was just too enticing. And I ended up playing with the Young Guns full time. And we played a lot of ball in Iowa. We played in all the parks in the city, out in Alsip, Blue Island, Mount Prospect. We were that young team that was just hungry to go play against anybody at any time. And that was probably the most competitive time in softball in my life until I was a much older guy. So, that was my up and comings in the game of softball. And so, when I think about this Hall of Fame, I think about all the guys that I grew up playing around that, were playing the game in Dunbar and Washington Park. And, as much as it would mean as kind of a representation of my commitment to softball and the level that I was able to play on, it really means that much more that I represent a brand of softball that raised me, that taught me before there was gloves. I can remember the day when we went to a tournament and they were like, "Oh, you can use one glove." I was like, "What is this glove thing?" I had never played softball with a glove. And so, having been raised in that kind of game, in James Park, there was this team called the Nighthawks. And the Nighthawks were this just rough, tough team of guys that, no matter what, they were going to give you the toughest game of your life every time you played them. And, that was kind of our North Side rivalry, was against these guys called the Nighthawks. And right. In James Park, that just was fun softball. Every night you played under the lights there. And there was this guy that sung this national anthem every game, and it just felt like you were in the big leagues out there. So, awesome. That to me is why this Hall of Fame is important. It represents 35 years of commitment to this game and playing at the highest level of the game, finally winning a national championship last year with High Y, just understanding the road to that. You win a lot of championships. We won Washington Park I think the Young Guns won Washington Park 9 times while I was playing with them. You know, you win the Claude Rhodes tournament, you win a state tournament, but that, that feeling to win a national championship last year really was like that culminating opportunity for me. So that, besides for that, this Hall of Fame is like a culmination of a career and the culmination of the opportunity to play with a lot of great players over the years and be raised in this game to that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And, one of the things I wanted to ask you before I hand it over to Donnie for his question, we brought up Washington Park. And I know we talked offline, Sharif, a little bit about Washington Park and what it means to not only that community, but also the players that come out of that park. Can you speak, because I know you're also a Chicago Park commissioner. I know that you have a big, influence in the city of Chicago. So can you just kind of tell everyone a little bit of background about Washington Park? I know we had Wes on a couple weeks ago. We had some other players on and what that means to them, but just give us a little bit more background on what it means to you.
Man, Washington Park is more than just the place where we play softball. Just about every kid that grew up or with parents that played softball were raised in that park, right? That, the one thing we did with our kids was make sure they had a team jersey. And if you've been to Washington Park, you know how big that park is. We play on like 13 diamonds that stretch from 51st Street to 55th Street. And so, the one thing you knew is that if your kid had a team jersey on, that kid could walk anywhere in the park and be fed and be disciplined and be kept safe. That, that type of family atmosphere in the park was, it was just, it was a microcosm of what community should be, right? Is that you never had to worry about safety on a Sunday in that park. And, we had the nightlife league on Wednesdays and Friday nights too. It was the same way, whether it was nighttime, daytime, you had a dozen vendors in that park selling food and pop and Gatorade and candy and, whatever you needed for your family on a Sunday, you could find right there in the park. And, there are zero stories about anything happening to a kid when our softball league is in that park. In fact, it's known that statistics even show that when we're in that park playing softball, not only is that park safer, but the whole community is safer. Things don't happen in that park and around that park when we're there. It just it's never been. I've been in that park since the early 80s and played for a few teams, and it was always the same, I remember there was a year I played on a team called Heat Wave, and you may remember Big Chili. Chili was a big pitcher that had this pickoff move. They fake forward and just throw the ball behind his back. He just picked off guys at second base with that all the time. But there was a year I played with them where, there were 3 guys that came from Licorice that wanted to play in Washington Park, and we picked them up on Heat Wave. And so that year we had 3 of Licorice's top players playing on Heat Wave. And I remember I couldn't have been, I hadn't played for Young Guns yet. So I was still like 18, 19 years old. Now, those were some of the best guys I'd ever seen outside of Washington Park play the game. And, you saw them take cut swings and all this. And you're like, man, I got to try that in batting practice. And, you picked up all of these skills from seeing guys like that. That's why I always say it'd be how great it would be to have even more presence in that park. I know guys that are out there are always like, man, we should have more guys, invite more guys to play in the park. If they knew it was safe out here, if they knew they were welcome, that you get a lot more guys that would come and play. And, that's always been our wish, is to step up that level of competition, to show guys that are, there's teams out there now that have been developing for a few years and are ready to go to that next level. And they see us and they want to beat us, right? They get their comeuppance beating the Hawaiis and the Solutions and the Rack Cities and the Pharaohs and all of those teams. But having other opportunities to play some teams from outside that park would really help some of those teams even develop to the next level.
Well, Sharif, we definitely appreciate you being on the show tonight. We're just getting started, guys. I know it's going to be a little longer than expected sometimes on the show, but at the same time, there's a lot of awesome information we want to hear from all you guys. This is an incredible market, incredible opportunity to kind of get our word out and continue to grow softball, and that's what our show is all about. So we appreciate all you guys hopping on. I'm going to hand it over to Donnie really quick. Donnie,
Yeah.
why don't we start with McCarthy and to just kind of get onto your question?
Yeah. So the next question that we've got, Jimmy, is a pretty good one, but it's why should you be in the Hall of Fame? So we'll start with Jim. I mean, what do you think? So just kind of throwing you a bone there. Why should you be in the 16-inch softball Hall of Fame?
Wow, started off right away. Why should I be in the Hall of Fame? It's one of those things when you are on a ballot with such amazing players and stuff like that. It's hard to ever speak for myself in regards to what I want to do, because I really do leave that up to, obviously, the ballot. To be on this ballot is so awesome. Played for 25 years. And, for me, I, like everybody else, we gave it our all, everything possible. I think you let the people that have played with you, if they realize that maybe you should be with them in the Hall of Fame. I think I might be the only guy maybe on that Pugliese lineup that's probably not in yet. But a lot has to do with it. I was being the youngest, and hopefully, people just respected how I played hard, played fast, and it'd be awesome just to be in there and kind of almost complete the roster for the.
I love it. You just kind of feel left out almost, that you're the only guy from the
yeah, left out, but you were just so happy to be part of that.
Yeah.
It was such a special time, those years. So I don't ever. It's hard to say why I should be.
Yeah.
Because damn it, we all should be. Like, there's so many people that should be, but again, to be on this ballot is just amazing, and I appreciate you being there.
For sure. Kirk, let's go to you there in the middle row. What do you think? It's kind of a loaded question, but we're giving you a chance to brag about yourself here for a sec. Kirk, why should you be in the Hall of Fame?
And that's something, and I think it speaks to even the rest of the guys that are on the ballot this year and on the call. And just from what they've said this far, we're not really good at talking about ourselves. We all focused on being good teammates and being on good teams. And obviously, you got to be on a good team or good teams, multiple teams over years to be recognized to have the credentials to be on the ballot. And I guess I would just kind of let what the teams I have been on accomplish kind of speak for themselves. I don't know. I'm not real good at talking about what I did, and I'd rather talk about what we did as a team, honestly. So good question though, but I don't really have a good answer for that one, Donnie. We did something no other team outside of Illinois has ever done. I pitched for that group, and it wasn't just a flash in the pan. Grant, that was the only one we won, but we were, multiple top fives, a couple runner-ups. I was on a team a couple years ago, got third place at Forest Park, highest finish in Iowa team there too. So I guess I did brag a little bit about it, but it's more about what my team did, and that's what's brought on the recognition. So
you've touched on it enough already as to why you should be. Now you just kind of solidified that with that last little bit of information. We appreciate that. Brad, talk to me. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Kirk there. It's kind of really hard to talk about yourself and what you've accomplished and what you've done. I think everybody on here has probably had multiple All-American awards or played in Final Fours or national championships or everything else, or you wouldn't be here. I'll put a little bourbon for the guy next to me here. I mean, I know in Chicago, pitchers are kind of coming as a premium, and at least it seems like really well respected, and there's never been a better pitcher in Iowa than this guy. So that's he pitched the highest glove tournament nationals and the highest no glove tournament nationals finishes. So that carpet country team, only team to win a national title outside of Chicago. I think that's probably why there's 2 members already in it. And we were both on that team. So I guess maybe that it would be about the most I'd want to say about, personal, what we did. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's good stuff. You can talk bad about him too if you want. It's not all good stuff. I'm
not
sure. Richie Kaz, you're up, my man.
Growing up as a kid, I was always told or taught not to talk about yourself, right? Let your actions show for your words. It's funny. I was just talking to Kevin earlier about how he was asking me if I was nervous coming on. I said a little, because I don't talk about myself. I never have. I never will. I guess just to prove to my family that it was worth all those missed birthday parties and, baptisms and dragging them out to 2 different parks, 3 different parks, depending on, where we were at. And so just for my family, I think it'd be cool.
Some hardware for you.
Yeah.
More than the championships you've got already, right? It's
Yeah.
Those kind of the culmination. It's kind of like Sharif was saying. It's like, man, I've been doing this a long time. This is kind of bringing it all together. We'll go to Nepety there on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, along the lines with everything else, it's not much of a self-promoter. Let your action shows. I actually was a little nervous coming on because I don't really promote myself. I'm actually getting butterflies as this question was up to this question. But I think I played the game hard as hell, aggressive, psychotic, some people might say. But you want to win, you want to do what's right for the team, and over the years, I'll say, as a group, we won some stuff, and I like to think I was, my contribution was welcome. So that's about as much self-promotion as I'm going to do.
Yeah,
we'll take it. We'll take all we can get, man. We appreciate that. And I know maybe coming out of your comfort zone a little bit to just be on the show. So we appreciate that. And you've actually got enough people bragging for you in the chat than anybody else right now. So let the action
here.
Yeah, right. People remembering things that you don't, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to Sharif. You talked about Washington Park and how influential that place is, and I love what you said about it being safer during the times that you guys are there. I think that's huge for that area. Sharif, you played in Forest Park most recently as last year. Came in and pitched against the 45s. I mean, you've been playing a long time and still doing it at the highest level. Sharif, now you have a chance to make it into the Hall of Fame. Why should you be in there?
Man, that's I think like everyone else, man, you really don't even think of yourself in that way. But when you think about the guys you played around and, being in the middle of a order that has guys like Skeet and Tank and One Dog and Bay and all of these great players that have always been around you, man, it's almost like you're representing for those guys, and that's kind of the way it always feels for me, is that, man, that being on the ballot and being able to get into the Hall of Fame is like, I feel all of those guys are that I'm going in for those guys. I played with Mike Lee near the end of his career, and he taught me some things with that bat that I didn't even know was possible till I just saw a guy his age and his having been in the game so long, just putting the ball where he wanted to put it, that, just being able to represent those things, coming into the game with Young Guns. Somebody posted up that they have this Young Guns versus Licorice from 2000. And, that outfield was me in center, Keith Shine in left field, One Dog, and Teddy in right field, and I just remember us being out there. Like if a ball hit the grass, we were upset. We didn't want a ball to hit down in the grass. It was just playing at that level and wanting to play that hard that, you commit to playing 7 days a week, 3 days on Sunday in Washington Park, 2 days on 39th Street some days. And having gone through a whole season where we played on 39th and we didn't give up a run in the regular season. It was just playing, all of these things. And when you think about 35 years of that, I think somebody said, I don't remember who said it, but you think if you played that long and that hard and at that level, and you think you're at least deserving of the recognition. My wife wants to know what the heck I was doing. I gotta be able to show her something, guys.
Tim, that's a great comment about the Young Guns and Licorice. We'd love to see those videos kind of going back and being able to watch some of these games. That's kind of how we get to relive those. Sharif, I appreciate that answer a lot. I had someone text me today. Robbie Grisano texted me. He said, ask Sharif about a game that he played against Venom. I think it went multiple innings. Talk to us about that game really quick. Just mention it.
Oh man! First of all, Robbie, I don't know why Robbie's texting you anything. He's gonna find something to talk about, right?
This is all he's got. That's all he's got.
I think Robbie walked us off or something.
He must have.
That's why he brought it up.
I know it is, and I remembered it as soon as you said it. I'm like, man, but that game, I think we played like 18 something innings or something, and it was just a crazy game. It was a crazy game. And yeah. I remember another game I remember I believe it was the Claude Rose in Blue Island where the Flames played OBI in the championship. And we were not the favorite in that game, but it was our one opportunity to show people that we belong. And we played our butts off, and I think we won that game in the last inning. And it was days like that where you play with a team like the Flames that never really got the recognition of being a major team, but you fought hard and you wanted that recognition, and to win a game like that against a great OBI team. I think they were ranked number one in softball at the time, but to win a game like that meant the world to us. It was almost like winning the Nationals, so it's just remembering all of those moments like that is, wow, it's something else.
Great.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great. And I think Sharif and all of you guys, we've all had those incredible moments on the field, good or bad, right? That we've all either grew from or come back from on those losses, so to make us stronger. But I got a couple comments that I just wanted to share with the group before we move on. We had people jumping on, all are saying that the Hall of Fame is creating a YouTube channel, and they're posting hundreds of videos of games going all the way back in all eras. So please get on, subscribe. Please get on and subscribe to our Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie page too on YouTube. So we also will have a ton of videos and things like that moving forward as well. Mr. Brian Panic just joined the show. Mr. Brian Panic is the gentleman I've been chasing down who want to get on the show. So welcome, Mr. Brian Panic. Mr. Tyler Singh, welcome. And Tommy Grano, welcome. Steve Majerus is on. We had a couple other. Randy's on. Randy Nelson has joined. He said Gary Bay John. I'm assuming he's asking where he's at. Unfortunately, I don't know where he's at. But at this moment, he's not on the feed. Max is on. Welcome. Brian Markham. Welcome. Pops Markham. A lot of current softball players jumping on, which is an awesome thing to see as we talked about history and moving forward. So it's awesome once again. But I want to get to the next question, right? So the next question will kind of tie the current generation and kind of the older generation, I think, a little bit together. So I'm going to ask, and I'm going to start with Jim and up in the right-hand corner there. What do you see in softball today, or that maybe you watch games, maybe on live streams, or what you hear about from Lane, or just in general, what do you see about softball today that was different from when you played, other than the two good-looking pitchers you have on the screen, Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie, who pitched for two of the major teams? So other than those two handsome individuals, what do you see different today about softball?
I'll tell you, our weekday games that we had back in the day, whether it be Mount Prospect and it was us versus Lettuce or Licorice at the time. And before we would get to the game, or I should say when we're at the game, we're getting ready. We're in our huddle. Jeff's talking to the other team, whether it be Lettuce or Licorice, and it comes back, okay, boys, this one's for $1,000. I'll just call it what it is. It sure makes Tuesday night games in Mount Prospect at 9:00 a whole lot more interesting. Rich, you know what I'm talking. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. When you could do that, it just makes things a little bit more interesting and spices it up. It doesn't have to be at the numbers and denominations what it is, but I think there just needs to be more life into the weekly games. A lot of guys are brought all over the place. From everyone's making sacrifices to be there, and sometimes you hate when you're parking lot watching when guys are coming in. Like, do whatever it's got to take to make it a little bit more interesting. You can do it internally with the guys. Personally, I always love to come back because you never knew what the denomination was going to be when Jeff was involved. And but it sure as hell made things more interesting. So that's my little thing that I would say. Hey, make the weekday games that might be in August or late in July a little bit more interesting internally amongst the teams.
That's
didn't expect that.
I love it. No, I did not.
That's what we did.
Incredible. So, right over to you, Kurt. What do you got for us?
Well, up until probably late 2000s, up close to 2010, I always felt like Labor Day weekend was a can't miss tournament. The national tournament. I know Forest Park was big for the No Glove, but even carrying into the Glove Nationals, nobody missed that tournament, and that's just not the way it is anymore. Now they struggle to get 24 teams to fill it. Guys are missing for a multitude of reasons that just didn't happen 15 years ago. And I thought it made for a better tournament when everybody was there, the best of the best.
Incredible. So I'm just switching around. I'm trying to get all the bald-headed guys in the middle, which I think I can. So over to you, Brad. What do you got for us?
Yeah, it's maybe not the numbers game again has gone down. I know, our biggest tournament in Iowa was always was the Bud Open over in Carroll. It was always a really big tournament. And I remember in 81, 82, my first couple of years there, we would go over and have 55, 65 teams in that tournament and didn't think anything of it. It was just kind of what it was. And I think when I got out in 2006, that same tournament would maybe have 25 teams. And, some of that is teams joining, getting better, wanting to be more competitive over the years, and some teams just dropping out. But I think the interest has kind of fallen off a little bit, and it'd be nice to see it get back. I think maybe getting people involved. As an example, I contacted Kirk here recently and said, I have my own insurance agency here in Iowa, and I kind of like to try to do something along with the Clincher Classic this year. Give some money, maybe some more higher payouts and donate some money from my agency. And I just think maybe reaching out to some of the older players that played back in the day and guys that would still like to contribute, whether it's financially or just with some ideas, would be a good thing to approach to maybe move the game forward a little bit.
You know what? That's incredible. Yeah. I mean, lean on what the past has brought us. And I believe that it's an awesome thing to kind of do that. Speaking to that, Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie, we're going to be starting our own NCAA square pool, and we are going to take 10% of the pool. It's $100 square. And we're going to start a fund for those out-of-state teams to make those trips to Chicago. It's a small start, but hey, $1,000 is $1,000 any way you look at it. And we're going to be looking over the course of time to try to get more of the Arizona teams, the San Diego teams, and some of those teams from out of state where, hey, I mean, if they do travel in and we're able to pay for their hotel rooms, it's just less cost that they have to come up with. And the same thing goes with Iowa here and there. Depending on how many beers they buy me at Old Timers will depend on how much I donate to them. But either way, it's something that Donnie and I have on the radar for the future. And we only think that can improve the game by fundraising and using a lot of the resources that we have, on our table, which is an awesome thing. So I love that point, Brad. I love that so much that I want to kiss you right now. So thank you. Richie Kaz, buddy. What do you got? And do you remember the question or no?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
today game it's too friendly. Like back when Junior and I were playing against each other, we didn't like each other on the field, like, but after the game we go have a beer. That's one thing. But during the game, I mean, I saw Mikey Lopez take out Stout at home because he didn't like him. I mean, he didn't even try to slide. He just ran right through him, and he said he was going to do it, and he did it. I think everybody's just too friendly with each other. I just think it needs to get back to where there's some good old-fashioned rivalries. And, like if you're upset with your team, people just leave and they go join another team now. I don't think that's right. I think you signed the roster for that year. You should either have to stick it out or sit out. I just think today's game, it's too soft.
That's a great point. Yep.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Rich. This show actually started because of that reason right there. Jimmy and I played against each other at Forest Park one night, and there was an argument on the field between the two teams. And obviously, Donnie being in the right, Jimmy being in the wrong.
Usually.
We then...
I wasn't
we
even
then
in the argument,
shared-
was I? I don't remember that.
You typically are.
I don't think I was.
But no, actually you weren't. It was Bastoni.
No, I think it was Cahill.
But,
I think it was Rob, our shortstop.
Sure. Let's call them all out. Let's get them all riled up. But
do
it
play
started
tomorrow.
that way. We do. And then we were at McGaffer's after the game, and we were like, you know what? Let's have a beer together. And then now we've got future Hall of Famers on our show, and we're running squares to get out-of-state teams into our tournaments. So it's come a long way.
And I clearly don't like him, but just so you know, Rich,
Yeah,
I don't like you, so
it's perfect. You just don't like me because I'm better looking. Let's just be real. But either way, let's get over to Mr. Tom Nepety, who's better looking than all of us.
Yeah. All right.
Tom, what happened to the glasses, my man? Put the glasses back.
I actually need them, but I'm trying to keep up with you guys. It's better blurry.
All right, Tom. So tell us. You know what? I forgot the question.
What's different, right? An old game.
What is different from today? Today's game from when you played.
So, and this is, I've been kind of separated from today's game. I kind of, when I kind of got out and went and hid in the 40 and over with Magic, with Gennaro, that was like playing in a time machine. So I don't call it, that's not like today's game. But just talking to some of my buddies that are still in touch with it, they reminded me of the old days. There was so many damn teams. You'd have to play in metros and qualifiers. I mean, just because you had entry fee didn't mean you could get in a tournament. So, I mean, you had to scrape and fight, and some tournaments you had to get invited to, the old four. It seems like it was a lot more competitive back then. Maybe there's less teams now. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like I said, I've been away from it for a while.
Oh, but that's a great point. There is less teams nowadays that are at the top level per se. Yeah. And in the old days with the Metro tournaments and a lot of things that went on, I was fortunate enough. That's when I started. And then a couple of years in, they took that away. But we were playing every weekend single elimination or every other weekend single elimination tournaments.
double point tournaments, all kinds of tournaments.
All kinds of qualifiers.
Triple point qualifiers.
Yeah.
Right? Gotta go play.
Money grab.
We did it. We did it because we just did it. Tommy, and nailed it. Like we had to.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't the birthday party that you had to go play. And that's how it was.
Yeah.
At a point system, and they
points.
That point too.
In Iowa in the mid 80s, at the state tournament, just the top 4 teams qualified for nationals.
Yeah.
And in the early 80s, I think maybe like the first year I played 80, 81, it was just the top 2.
Wow.
So, and I think today is pretty much, if you want to play, you can play, right? I mean, you used to earn that. And it's like, if you get in the top 4 at state, it was like a huge honor because you get to go play national. So
yeah, you got to earn your bid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not gonna lie. I missed the single elimination tournaments one day. Those were some incredible times.
And I guess if you don't want to play, you don't have to play, right? There's A and there's B and there's all of these other options. When I was coming up with the Flames, if we wanted to play in a tournament, we had to take the odds were you're going to draw some quote unquote major team, and you got to get out there and play ball and see what you got. That's another thing that's different about the game, and for better or for worse, right? I'm not dissing it or anything, but if your team wants to figure out how to play in tournaments now, but doesn't want to take the risk of drawing one of the top teams in the game in that first round, then you have options to go play A or go play B and, you know, at least see what it's like. Can you get guys even to go and show up at a tournament, you know? So I think, to me, that's the biggest difference in the game right now is all the levels.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sharif. I mean, as much as we kind of love the fact that we created the B and some of these other levels, maybe, you know, to the point of what you're saying is that some of these teams don't play against the best anymore. Like we had to when we were younger. We had to go out and play the 45s on a Friday night at 8 o'clock. And, you know, here I am with 10 of my buddies. We're 19 years old and we're going to play the best team in softball. I mean, but that's how you got better. I feel today these kids don't look at it that way. And, yeah, we took our lickings, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, that made you want to get better. And that's what I think is missed today. So that's a great point. Sharif, I'm going to start with you really quick, and then we're going to get back to Donnie. In fact, Donnie, why don't we hand it over to you really quick right now about the jersey? I know you want to, or maybe you have another question that you want to get to.
No. Yeah, this is something I ask the guests every week. I know Sharif already showed off the Flames jersey from when he was 17, which may seem like a long time ago. But I always ask the guests to bring your favorite jersey onto the show, whether a team that you played with or played for or were a part of. We'll maybe go around kind of the same order. Jimmy, if you want to start it in the top right corner, what's your favorite jersey? Do you have it with you?
Wow, I don't have it with me right now, but the Rizzo Rockets jersey was the first jersey that I wore, and that's one thing. Joe Rizzo was one of the greatest sponsors that softball's had, and if you got a chance to play with Lane Neiman, you were always clean when you go. You had to wear the pinstripes, you had to wear the pinstripe shorts, the red, white, and black, and your shit was always tucked in because Lane. That's how Joe wanted it. But Joe was one of the most generous sponsors of all time. And quite frankly, it was that have to be the one that, you know, Pugliese and Bucks look good too, but the first Rizzo Rockers one for sure.
Awesome.
That's great. That's great. I know yesterday we did our little rundown before, so you weren't prepared for that question. I apologize, but
that's all right.
We'll take your word for it. We'll believe
got it.
Kirk, talk to me. What jersey do you like the best?
I actually found this in a tub down in the basement. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it was Club Iguana Jake's, which was a bar in Des Moines. And McCarthy, I think you were on that Pugliese team. We played you guys in Marshalltown. You guys won it that year, but you beat us out in the 3-4 game.
I remember the Iguana Jakes. I remember that. And wait, were you guys with the cowbells? Did you have the cowbells going?
No, we didn't allow the cowbells.
Thank you. Some team in Iowa, Stover, whatever those cowbells was, we wanted to beat their ass so bad every single time we played them. Everybody remembers those damn fucking cowbells. But yes,
that's why we wouldn't allow them. We didn't want to give them any more reason to beat us than they already had.
I think they still might have a graphic edge.
It was a one-year team, but I always thought that was a cool name for a team. So
very unique. That's we've seen a lot, like the one-offs, right? Like the one-year team. This team wasn't around for long. We've had some really cool jerseys. Let's go to the middle there. Let's go to Brad.
I knew this was coming. Don't give me a downgrade here because I don't have a jersey. I actually just moved to this home I'm in now about 6 months ago, and we still have quite a large storage unit going, and I know where all those jerseys are. I actually went down in the basement about an hour before this started, and I thought, man, if I don't have a jersey, this is going to look really bad. And I threw about 10 different bins down there, and all I could find was my kids' jerseys from sports they played. So I don't have a jersey with me. That jersey Kurt just showed for Iguana Jakes was pretty neat. That was actually a 99 team, like kind of a combination of Grand Slam, Graphic Edge, and the old Carpet Country guys, and really probably on paper, one of the better teams that was ever put together in Iowa. We got fourth in nationals that year. Didn't achieve what we wanted to, but it was a really good team. Angelo Alicia played on that team. Great player from Chicago. Played with Graphic Edge, and he was a lot of fun to play with too. But yeah, that was a pretty cool jersey. I hadn't seen that in a long time, Kurt, so that was cool. But if I had the jerseys here, it would probably have to be a Carpet Country orange jersey. that was kind of the pinnacle of our career, 91 to 96, and then won the title in 95. And that, but I think I gave those all away the weekend that we were there. We,
You gave them to your girlfriend, Shirley.
yeah, Shirley probably, yeah. No, come on.
You're gonna get Brad in trouble here on the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, his wife wouldn't be threatened by Shirley.
No,
Hopefully, there's a lot of earmuffs in that house.
yeah, right. All right.
Richie Kaz, what do you got?
I'd have to say probably the one I'm wearing. I got the 2010 Windy City. That was our first major national, so it has a little special meaning. And then yeah, that'd probably be the best one. And then the worst one I think might be this. I don't know if you can see it. It's a Bucketheads button down.
Oh yeah,
Right now, it's shaking. It's so heavy.
I remember that team was run by Sal Milazzo, right?
Yeah, Sam Milazzo ran the Buckethead. We went Bucketheads Windy City signature. Kept getting fired from companies. I think that's why I had to switch names.
Some guys get tattoos with that damn bucket on their calves and stuff like
Yeah.
Fredo. Like,
They-
good God.
Other Lemonheads jerseys were pretty cool too. A lot of guys had tattoos as well. Not this guy though.
Yep.
That's a first for us, Rich, on the show. Someone showing their worst jersey. That's great.
Weighs about 6 pounds. It's fun to play in the 90-degree heat.
Yeah, in a button-down jersey.
Yeah.
We'll go to Nepety down there.
I like that worst jersey concept. I didn't even think of that, but
I got some ugly ones too. Somewhere.
Rabbits, Old Style sponsored us, and they got these button downs that where I swear to God they were wool, and they were like white pajamas. Looked like a bunch of. I don't have one. I think I burned that after that season. But I grew up in the era where your jerseys was a T-shirt with your team name on the front, and usually a bar or a trucking company on the back. So I liked anything with a logo. So the Jinx had the cat. Hype, he had the bulldog. But I'm going to go obscure on a rec team that I played on Sundays afternoons in Mount Greenwood for 18 years, double headers, and it was AMF. It had the gorilla on it.
There you go.
So went rec on that one. Played there for about 18 years on Sunday afternoons with the family out there with beer and barbecue, and it was a good time. So
The way Sunday should be with family barbecues.
yeah, so
I
I went rec.
There it is. That's a great one. I appreciate that for sure. Sharif, you got any more jerseys in there? I see trophies and stuff on the wall.
Yeah, it shows you that Flames one from when I was 17. But this one, this is where I learned about uniforms with the Young Guns, right? Coach Sherman Nelson, he always wanted the Young Guns to look good. So we had several uniforms. That's probably why High Y has all these. We got. I wouldn't have brought one High Y jersey out. You guys probably have seen way too many colors and crazy clouds and all kinds of stuff. But this jersey tripped me out because it's like 3 times as big as I am now, because I was much bigger at the time, but I couldn't wear that thing if I wanted to. And then there's this one, the old Rack City jersey from some of our good runs in Forest Park. But then, to be honest with you, this is my favorite one now, right? This tells my story right here. This is the old school jersey, the current 50 and over 2-time national champions, right? But just to be an old guy that can still play a little ball, that's why I like this jersey the most.
That's great. Man, look at you came prepared for the show tonight.
Oh, man. I got to put all this stuff back in the basement or I'm getting in trouble.
So
Fantastic.
it's fantastic. I just wanted to hop in really quick. I wanted to say thank you to the Beacon Tap for sponsoring our show. The Beacon Tap's located in Des Plaines, so we can't appreciate it anymore. Obviously, Mr. Tommy Reamer, thank you so much for all that you do for us and to give us this wonderful technology to have all these guests on the show. I also want to say hello to the chat. We got our chat blowing up right now. Mel Huffner, Ryan Russ, Paul Rowan, obviously president of the Hall of Fame, Lane Neiman, his name's been mentioned quite a bit. Mr. Steve Batnage, one of the greatest pitchers and characters in softball. So thank you so much, Steve, for jumping on. Katie Lyons, welcome. William Deere, welcome. Bill Cullinal, he's on the show. Welcome so much. Stephen, Carlos Castleberry, And then I think I already said Ken Barron and Beck and Bill Wagner. So thank you guys all for jumping on. We definitely appreciate it. Donnie, I don't know if you have a question before we kind of get, and we have, we have a lot of answers ahead of us, and I know there's some questions you probably want to ask us. So
for sure, that's it. That's it for me. I'm a big fan of the jerseys, and you guys didn't disappoint, except for a few of you, but that's okay. But yeah, thank you guys for that. And Jimmy, I'm out of questions for these fellas. This has been great.
Yeah. So guys, just so you guys know, the last question that I ask every single guest on the show is, what would you change, basically, in softball
to plug my phone in.
That's good. That's good. Doing it. You're on a roller coaster ride too. You're watching that video. All right. Like, so one of the things that we ask every guest on the show, the last question is, what would you change or something that you would improve softball today? What would that be? Right. So if you were to make a change in softball today to improve softball as a whole, what would that be? I know, Kurt, we've asked you this question. You've been on the show before, but for some of the others that haven't, I think we'll start with Sharif on the bottom there, and we'll just work our way back up. Tell me a little bit about, what is the one thing that you would change today to improve softball? I know you guys been around softball, so you're still a part of a lot of everything that goes on. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, it's something I'm actually working on right now. I remember being able to play in Grant Park and go around the city and just play on different sides of the city in the city. It's cool. I love going to Mount Prospect. I've always loved going to Forest Park, out to Blue Island, but there was nothing almost like playing in Grant Park and all of these parks. If we could just find ways to, I'm talking to people in Washington Park now about how we can take maybe a cluster of diamonds and create a atmosphere that would be able to host tournaments and, just to be able to get back all over across the city and show the neighborhoods what softball at the highest level looks like again in the city of Chicago.
Awesome. No, that's incredible. We actually, a couple of weeks back, Donnie, didn't we talk about Grant Park? I think with Berger, and then we talked about it with somebody else as well.
Yeah, Berger mentioned that tournament was awesome, and to have the crowd of people that Grant Park could bring would be special. Whoa,
dude, you're like an alien. You're glowing on me. Love it.
See that shit? Unbelievable.
No, definitely. So appreciate that, Sharif. Tom, what I know you've been out of the game a little bit. We understand that. But what is something that, looking at softball, what would you change today to improve softball? Maybe even when you played.
Well, whatever. I think it's more people back in the game. What I'm hearing is there's not the amount of interest or teams or whatnot. And I don't know what the answer is, but it seems like maybe some of the younger guys, aren't playing. I think we grew up playing it, and every park had a league. And, now you look around and, parks are combining just to try to get enough teams to make a league. So I don't know what the answer is, but it seems like the interest has kind of waned in my old man opinion there.
Right. Okay.
The answer is though.
All right. No, definitely appreciate that. Richie.
Just kind of to get back to that old school feel where, like Junior said, you're on a Tuesday night, that 9:15 or 9:45 game at Forest Park, make it interesting. Throw a couple $100 on it, make it worth your while to go out there. That's the problem. These guys, they got to go for work in the morning, they have kids, whatever the case may be. 9:45 on a Tuesday isn't fun to go out to play. But if you throw some money on it or something like that, it's the interest has got to get back to. I think it's starting to go down a little bit. I think that the rosters need to be a little stricter to where, if you're not happy one week, you go to play for another team, and if you don't like those guys, you go play for another team. I think that's got to stop too. I think it's just too much bouncing around is causing a problem as well.
Yep.
But I just think get back to that old school feel where you have a rivalry game coming up, and you go out there and you're 15 deep, and you play your balls out. I just don't think that happens anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a kind of a great point. Maybe it's something that we can talk about. I know some of the leagues we actually play cash per game or whatever. I know Melrose does that. where every game is for money. It's not what you're talking about, but I agree. I mean, putting money on an individual game definitely makes it a lot more interesting for sure.
Yeah, the Melrose. Sorry, to interrupt you, but the Melrose, what is it, like $50-100 a game? I mean,
yeah, it's minimal.
yeah, they don't care about that. But like Junior said, someone comes back into the huddle, hey, this game's for 1,000. It's time to strap it up. Let's go. I think you get a lot more interest in it.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right, and it definitely would help. Definitely league play 100% from the standpoint of the intensity that is still played. Especially with those major teams that are out there. So, the one thing that would touch to that is that it's tough to do that when you only have maybe 7 or 8 of your normal guys showing up to a league game, right?
True.
So, a lot of teams would probably shed away from that just because they don't have a full roster to play for 500 or 1,000. Hence the commitment thing that Donnie and I always talk about on the show, shortening tournaments to allow more commitment throughout the week where guys don't have to donate 3 and 4 day times, especially with everything that's going on in the world, social media and everything else. So I know my idea got voted down tonight at Forest Park, but we're not giving up, Donnie. They had some other changes and some other twists to that. So, but either way, I mean, that's okay. It's not necessarily what we said, but they wanted to shorten the tournament. So I know you mentioned Forest Park, so I want to get on that really quick before we get over to Brad. They wanted to shorten it to 22 teams and end it on Saturday night under the lights, which I think ending it on Saturday night under the lights is incredible. But I think people were probably a little tense about shortening it from 24 to 22. Which I think is what threw people off. But either way, they could still have 24 and run us, a tournament. We'll just see how it goes. But I was happy to see that it got to the board, it got to Forest Park, and I don't know if they've made a final answer, but that's awesome. To your point, leads into commitment, which would also lead into more games for cash in regular season.
Well, yeah, and then that Forest Park thing, I don't think they'll want to lose that Sunday of concessions either. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, JD actually said that they think they would be able to double their Saturdays if they ended on a Saturday night.
Oh.
So they would make up for Sunday because Sunday last year was the lowest crowd they said they had in years. And it's continuing to die every year is what they're saying. So I'd be curious to see. I was thrilled that JD even considered it, right? So change in softball is not a bad thing. And I think that's what a lot of the people in softball they have to realize. It's not a bad thing. And let's face it, if you do it 1 year and it doesn't work and it's a total, you can always go back to the way it was. It's not
exactly.
So, but I appreciate that comment. Made me think a lot about, everything that's going on in today's game. So thank you, Rich. Brad, over to you, Brad. What do you got for us in Iowa or just in general about softball?
I think you have to do what you can to attract the younger crowd, the younger. We don't all really get the 18 to 24-year-olds today. It's a different group, different generation. But we used to have this in Iowa. Kirk will remember this. On Friday nights, we had league out in Urbandale, and they had a band. And of course, some of us, the guys on Carpenter, didn't like that band. It always annoyed the crap out of us because it was loud. But it would bring a lot of people out, and it was Friday night league. It was leading into the weekend. Everyone just got off work on Friday, head out to the field. They'd be using all 4 fields and have games going all night and a band playing. And I mean, that attracts some other teams. We had some local teams from the Des Moines area that didn't play all the weekends that we play that played in that league. And just trying to figure something out where you can try to attract the younger people and get them involved. I think if you start getting those players, especially if they have that competitive edge, and get them in a league, get them playing, maybe they have a little success, they start showing up to tournaments, and you can get back to having a good number on the weekends. So
right.
Hey, how did that turn? Didn't Dawson try to do that with a tournament one year and have bands and stuff like that come out? I thought I remember that. I was out of town one weekend. He had a tournament with live bands and gave away a lot of money to the tournament. I don't know how that.
I don't recall. I know Dawson tries to run a tournament every year that gets rained out, but I don't know many tournaments that he ran with a band. I mean, he's a great guy, great supporter as well as softball, but he just has bad luck when he runs tournaments. He gets rained
Terrible.
out.
That guaranteed rate tournament's been rained out so many times.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Kurt, we're going to ask you the same question. Kurt, we're going to get over to you. I know you've answered it a couple times, but maybe you
Yeah.
have something new since you've been
I'll
watching.
give you a different answer this time than what I talked about the last time. But I think that softball is onto some things, with the live streaming. It's a way to bring more viewership to the game. And if people maybe are watching it on their phones or their tablets, might bring them out to the park, and I think everybody, if they're being honest, they enjoy playing in front of larger groups of people that are watching the games. One thing that I had an idea on, the rosters now are really swollen. I mean, every team has got 20 guys on their roster at a tournament. And some of those guys are, you're picking up a younger guy, and we did kind of do that with Brad's son. You pick up a guy just to run and maybe play a little bit outfield. But if you shorten those rosters on the weekends, and this is just spitballing, I don't know if this would work or not. But
Yeah.
if you shorten those rosters on weekends to 15 players, all of a sudden that frees up 5 other guys that are interested in playing softball, and maybe they got to form with another team. And so if you shorten your roster 15, you got 5 other guys, and if there's 20 teams, that's another 100 guys. That's another 6 teams potentially that may be playing. Might be a way to think about it. And again, if it wouldn't work, then you go back to the old way. But yeah, I don't know. That's a thought anyway, to get more people involved playing.
That's
Good thought.
That's a really good thought. I think that's incredible. Actually, you got me speechless on that one. That was really good. I think
It's not often that Jimmy
Took me all day to come up with it. So.
Yeah, but it's good because we all are on tonight because of softball. We all want to improve softball, and I think to my point of earlier when I was telling Richie about Forest Park, we have to change. Our game is dying, whether you like it or not. Less teams play every single year. Okay, it's great that Gio's got 31,000 followers on the SSA, whatever, Facebook, whatever. That's all incredible, but the game itself is dying, right? And we're seeing less and less teams, at least at the major level it is, per se, okay?
Yeah.
It's a lot different from when I started 20 years ago, and it's a hell of a lot different from when you guys started 35 to 40 years ago to today. So, I remember as a kid going to Mount Prospect and watching a major national championship, and they had to rope the field off in order for people to play. Nowadays, you have Papa Hops, which is a charity tournament. That's the only time they even comes close to that. And that was my point about we have to adapt to making an event. When you play a championship game on a Sunday at 5 o'clock and you got 10 people watching, there's more people on the live stream watching than there is in person.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do as a player? And we've said this millions of times on the show, but to the point of, what does that do? We're all Hall of Fame. Everyone's a Hall of Famer on this thing in my eyes, right? All you guys are Hall of Famers. So the thing is every one of you would say you want to play in front of a larger crowd, especially for a championship, right? And that's the thing I think today that can draw the game back to what it was. Why does everyone want to play in Pop Hops? Why do people start at 4 p.m. on a Friday? They find ways to get there, don't they? They take off work. Why? Because there's thousands of people watching. That's why, right? If it was 10 people out there, people wouldn't be leaving at 4 o'clock on a Friday to go play softball. When you tell me people can't start at 6 p.m. in a Forest Park tournament, like people bitch and complain. To me, that's the difference in softball today. That is why the game is growing, because the people that are running our industry don't want to change. They're stuck in their old ways. And whether they like me or not, I don't really give a shit personally. But that is my opinion. Over to you, Jimmy. I appreciate it, buddy.
No, a lot of great points here and stuff like that. If I could just echo what Sharif was talking about, bring the game back to the city. To get the tournament, everybody knows, Richie, knows, Tommy, we all played in it. When you're playing outfield at shortstop, on some of those games, and you have thousands of people in Grant Park and 10 fields working. I know it's the hardest thing in the world to do, probably maybe these days, to reserve a Grant Park, but to bring that back again brought so much interest every single year. It was kind of like the tournament prior to Forest Park, the weekend before.
Right.
And the interest of people just riding by in bikes, pulling up, sitting on, and honestly, I mean, the stake-in bases back in the day, bring back a little bit of the old with the new, right? I mean, Rich, I mean, you remember playing left field and you're standing next to the second baseman, for the B athletes, like, what's up, bud? Hey, watch out for me. Watch the back of my head, straight, right? Watch the back of my head. I got you, you got me, just a lot of talk. But those were the days, and
man.
I don't think the new generation gets to see or be part of that. On top of, you had the hatred, right? Not hatred rivalries. You just had the bone-in rivalries all the time of the other teams that want to beat the shit out of. But you know what? At the end, you would be fine off the field and you nailed it. But, if I could just change anything, bring a little bit back of the old, but again, that takes organization, whole 9 yards. But that would be my 2 cents in what we could do.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and I think all you guys are right on all your comments, and it leads to change, right? And we all know what needs to be done. To your point, the generation, I think Brad, you said it, the 18 to 24-year-olds today, they just have a lot more to do than what we did when we were kids, and there's a difference. And if you don't make it an event and you don't make it something that it's big, these kids don't want to attend. They just don't. They care more about their TikTok followers and their YouTube. I mean, seriously, they do. That's their life. That's what they grew up with. COVID didn't make it any better, right? So, say what you want about COVID, but most of the people nowadays, I mean, it changed my life. It really did in my work perspective. We are all teams now on everything that we do, like a screen like this, and this is all we do every day for meetings. There's no more in person. And to those kids' point, those 18 to 24-year-olds, that we don't have that young talent that gets in the game because they just don't play it at a younger level like we used to. When we used to go play wiffle ball in the park nonstop, or baseball or softball, you don't see kids doing that much anymore. You just don't. It's not part of their DNA. And if you don't make it an event, they don't want to be a part of it, And it's fact. I don't care what anyone tells you. It's fact. I see it with kids all the time in the travel organizations. I work with kids that are younger. They all say the same thing. If it ain't an event, I don't want to go, and it's fact. I mean, and so if we don't make what we do an event, I think someone mentioned throughout, like, bands and, car shows, and you bring other people to the field to watch. That's how we grow softball. Doing the same shit year over year doesn't grow softball. You know what I mean? Doesn't help it, right? So my whole goal and Donnie's whole goal is we want to bring people in. We want to bring more of an audience to the game. Whether I'm doing this or not in 2 years or 3 years when my kids start playing travel ball, I still want to do this. I still want to help softball. We dedicated 20 years of our life to this game, all of us. So I think Brad or Kurt, you guys said, lean on some of the old timers. That's what we need to do, right? And it's awesome point. So this is the part of the show, guys, where we, Donnie sits there, smiles, looks handsome as usual, and basically answers any questions for you guys that you have for us. I know every guest usually has a couple questions. So, guys, who wants to go first? Fire away.
Open it up if you guys have anything. If you don't have any questions, that's okay.
Yeah. Come on, Brad. I know you.
I just wanted to say I love this Saturday evening thing in terms of tournaments wrapping up on Saturday evenings. Man, I think that would be big for the game, especially introducing some of these concerts and things like that can go on in those parks too. And I say that because as we talk about bringing things back to the city, the park district has plans for a lot of different types of event space. And I don't think they're thinking big enough in terms of where those spaces can be, where you can have stages and they're thinking about the beach and along the lakefront, but there are more opportunities to expand that and introduce things in the city that could be big for those. And I don't know why, if you can play on Thursday nights to open a tournament in Forest Park, why can't you play on Wednesday? Why can't you play on Tuesday so that
Right.
those tournaments can end on a Saturday? Well,
Yep.
it's just a week. I know that I know there's some issues, and it becomes tough for maybe Iowa teams to be down here on those number of weekdays, but we figured it out for those Thursdays and Fridays. Are there things we can do to figure it out so that we can make it make sense?
Yeah, those Iowa teams are well funded too, Sharif. They'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Oh, you can just buy the Iowa teams to the semifinals, can't you? Saturday.
Yeah, we can do it too. Absolutely. So, to your point, Sharif, the Chicago thing I think is awesome, right? I mean, that's an incredible thought, incredible thing that's going. Maybe I'm going to change this around. Do you guys have any questions for each other too? Because maybe some of you guys don't want to ask Donnie and I, questions because maybe, you don't know us well enough or whatever, but do you guys have questions? Or maybe we could even throw one other question out there is, what was the one player in your generation that you never had a chance to play with that you would love to play with? That's always a good question we ask too. So, maybe we'll kick that over to you, Sharif. Why don't you start with that one if there's no questions for the group?
It's hard to say the one player because I got to play with the one player that I always wanted to play with, but it was the team he was able to play with that I was always interested in playing with. Because I played with Juice on Young Guns, but Juice also went and played with the Bucks, and I always wanted to play with the Bucks. There were two teams that I never played with that I always wanted to play with. There was Unknown Wild Bunch, and there was the Bucks. Two of the baddest teams when I was growing up as 17, 18, 20, right. 23. I wanted to play with the Bucks, and Juice was like, "Hey, man, come on." And I was like, I was playing with the Flames at the time. I was like, maybe guys don't think I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm good enough. I didn't just like guys have been on this call, that don't want to talk about themselves. I was always that guy. I didn't look at myself as being that good. But then guys would say to me, "Yo, man, that when you did this or when you did that, oh man, you did." And I got picked up by just about every major team in black softball that ever existed.
Right.
But I didn't look at myself that way. But so when Juice was like, "Man, you can come on, we'll get you on the Bucks," I was like, I didn't think I was good enough. But that was always a team I wanted to play with. And the Unknown Wild Bunch.
Absolutely. Awesome. Nepody, do you have any questions for anyone in the group, or is there some one player that you never had a chance to play with that you wanted to play with? And you could say me if that's okay, Nepody. Don't worry about it.
I talked to Berger about it. He put the kibosh on that, so that's a hard no. But I don't have any questions. But I thought about this one. I was lucky enough to play with some really good players back in the day. Bergs and Chibi are my buddies. Played with them. Kelleher's, those guys. But some of the guys that were on the bigger teams that I never up with. One guy I always thought was one of the best players as I was coming up was Keith Filkins. I thought I don't think I've ever stepped on the same field with him. So I always thought I liked the way he carried himself, and he always seemed to be nice to me in between games or whatnot. So I'd have to go with Filkins as my pick for who I wouldn't mind being on the same team for something.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Richie Kaz, who do you got for us, buddy?
So I was fortunate enough. I got to play with Berger, Zippy, Harity, Filkins. I got to play with all those guys. So I was pretty lucky, Matlock. The couple guys I would love to have played with for a season would have been the Russ brothers. They're ball busters. They have a great time, but when they get on the field, they're all business. So I thought that would be a cool duo to play with. Like they're just good guys. So for me, it'd be the Russ brothers.
Yep. Also, not only great guys, but awesome leaders and just cool teammates to have around. I was fortunate enough for 3 years to play with those guys. It was awesome. So I can't agree with you more. Brad, what do you got for us?
That's amazing that you just said the Rush brothers, because I was going to say the exact same thing. we always really enjoyed the competition. These guys were, very cerebral and obviously talented. Their dad was very involved, and so it was always anytime we played against them, we had the ultimate respect for them. And I always kind of thought, man, it'd been fun to play with these guys sometime. But we played with everyone in Iowa. When you were in Iowa, it's so. I mean, for me personally, when I talk about who would I'd like to play for, I think of a Chicago team or a player from there. But you had said, do we have a question for anyone else here? So I kind of want Mr. Michigan father quarterback there. Why they send your son and we got the backup?
Wait. Say that again, Brad.
I said, why did we get the wrong quarterback sent to Iowa? Guys really need that experience. We needed a quarterback. Our guy got hurt in the second game, and you guys went on and won the national championship. So I was just teasing.
No, I appreciate it. Cade,
That was
Cade's a warrior. Cade's gonna battle. He's gonna do good things for you guys this year.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Awesome year.
Yeah, he's gonna do good things for you. Eric Hall was great too.
Jimmy, there's nothing to be embarrassed about, man. You should be a proud father. It's an incredible moment. No, a lot of the fathers in this world never will get to experience what you got to experience. So, man, it's
appreciate that, guys.
Awesome,
Thank you.
So,
thank you. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, and if I could chime in real quick on just the one player. I mean, you guys mentioned some incredible guys. I got the chance to play with Randy and Bobby. I get to play. I got to play with Ralphie Lawrence, who one day is going to be in 100% in the Hall of Fame. You great people like Jeremy Lafranos that might not. He's been on 32 teams, but he's the youngest guy, always battling. Those are great guys. But there was one guy in the past. I played with Keith Williamsberger in the Bucks team. Sharif, come on, we'd love to have you. Like there was no one. We played hard, and I appreciate hearing that too because that team was so special. That we got to be on. But if there was one guy that I would love to have played against or played with, Ricky Gankars. Ricky Gankars was one of the baddest dudes on that field. And, man, he was afraid to let you know, too, when he was rounding the bases. But, I love him.
Tippy toes?
I love tippy toes around the bases. But, boy, could he do everything. And that would have been the one player that I would have loved to play with one time.
He was awesome. He was a double.
Sure was.
So –
yeah,
he's incredible. Him and even Izzy Sanchez. I mean, when I
Izzy.
came up, Izzy was fucking incredible in regards to everything he hit was a double, and it was just awesome. And I've actually had a chance to get to play with Izzy too. So, it's just recently we go to Yuma together and we spend a whole weekend, and that's enough for Izzy for the weekend. But either way, it's an awesome moment, and Izzy's a good dude. So. Kurt, what do you got for us? I think we skipped over you there.
Yeah, that's all right. Just reminiscing and hearing all these names from the past. I really feel that I was fortunate to have played in the late '80s through the '90s. I just think that was the heyday of 16-inch softball. I mean, you look at all those names that we've talked about tonight, and as Richie said, the competition was fierce. There was no buddy ball on the field. We got done 15 minutes later. We might run into each other up at the window and have a beer and talk about the game. But on the field, there wasn't a lot of laughing and joking and going on. I mean, everybody wanted to win at all costs.
Yep.
And so all those names that you guys are talking about, the Russes and Gankors and Berger and the Lawlers, and it's just on and on and on and on. I just really feel fortunate to have gotten to play against all of those guys. It would have been a pleasure to play with any one of those. But I looked at a guy from Iowa that we play with, and I've been at it, 38 years. So I pretty much, as Brad said, have played with everybody in Iowa, and I'm going to play with several young guns this year on Chuck's teams that are really going to be good guys, good players coming up. But there's one guy on Graphic Edge. We called him the Ted Williams of 16-inch softball. Randy Heller was his name. He was a big lefty. And you could put four guys on the right side of the infield, and he would still get a hit through there. And he still pulled the ball. As a pitcher, I always looked at guys that we couldn't get out, and those were guys I thought I wanted to play with. Well, he was a guy we could never get out. So I'll throw a shout out to Randy Heller. Plus, he's just a good dude, man, laid back. he's just a modest guy and was a hell of a player.
Yeah,
That's funny that his name sounds like Kelleher, because that's how Kelleher was, right? Kelleher put the ball where he wanted to put it, and it didn't matter where you stood.
Yes, he did.
He was an absolute monster. I got to see him coming when I first started. He was incredible.
Yeah, I got to play with him at the end of his career with
Nemesis.
No, he was with Wally Peck actually when we were at Red Dog.
Okay. Yeah,
He still hit, I bet.
Oh yeah.
He was a stone cold hitter. So
Yep.
kind of what
We
Richie Kaz, right, Rich?
Yeah.
we have a question from the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. Jimmy,
Yes.
did your
I saw
son
that one.
ever play? Has he played? Has he ever played?
No, the closest he's been a hockey kid he was a hockey kid his whole life, hockey and football, and the closest he got back when I was with the Flash boys, at his age, I played with Flash. Him and Lukey Lawrence would be out there shagging balls, and they're young and spry ages at like 7 years old, 6 years old, and then hockey and football took over and everything, and that's the closest he got to 16-inch.
So when he doesn't like where he gets drafted, he could just say no thanks and go play softball.
Right, absolutely, 100%.
He's going
back.
We already talked about this. He's going to the Denver Broncos. He's going to be with Tom Payton. So
yeah, maybe we should start a pool and put all the money into some of the teams where we're like, "Cool, where's Jimmy's kid going? Draw about $50,000, give it to everybody. Why not?"
We can do a little split the pot with it. We can donate it to the out-of-state teams.
Yeah, perfect. Let it work.
We'll let it rip. We'll get that going. Donnie, that's your job.
Sounds good. I could work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, I once again just wanted to say thank you for tonight. The last thing we're going to leave on is I want everyone to say one bad thing about Anthony Tyler. You can bring up the hoop earring. You can bring up his stupid haircut. Whatever you guys want to say, go right ahead. Now, Anthony, Tyler's one of my best buds. You guys all know that. I've played with together. He's incredible. But I have to rip on his ass just for not showing up tonight. So, Jimmy McCarthy, go right ahead, my man.
Can't. There's too much. I just can't. It's too much.
That's what I was waiting on. Richie Kaz, I know you always got something to say. What do you got?
Yeah, so I've known Tyler probably almost 30 years now, and when we played in the Park District at Brands Park on the north side, he wore jean shorts to every game. And they were rolled twice. So they were above, like right above his, right at the thigh there. So it was, he was trying to be an attractive man. And always the hoop earring is always, that's
the hoop
signature Tyler. So,
Brad, I don't know if you know Anthony Tyler.
No, I do. And the jean shorts and hoop earring, that's just about enough.
Kurt, what do you got for us, Kurt?
I'm just waiting for that book he's working on to come out, 1,000,001 Reasons Why I Am Right by Anthony Tyler.
Nailed it.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Sharif, what do you got for Anthony Tyler?
The irony that exists, that I can't say much about him because I used to wear a hoop earring, and my wife, she came to a tournament and I was on the SSA board at the time, and Tyler walks up as we're walking up to the park, and she goes, "Is this your softball twin?" Like, oh, shit. So there's not much I can say about Tyler since my wife thinks we're twins.
So what you're saying is that hoop earring came out of your ear real quick.
I don't wear them anymore. Studs. I wear studs now.
All right, even better. Tommy, what do you got for Anthony Tyler?
I'm not going to comment. I'm too nice a guy to say anything bad.
I hear you.
Fran is a saint.
That's right.
Well, guys, I appreciate all you guys joining tonight. Thank you so much. I think it was an incredible night, not only for all you guys to kind of show a face with the name on the ballot, but at the same time be able to tell some stories about the game of softball, which we definitely appreciate. And to all of you guys, the best of luck. Donnie and I will also be at the Hall of Fame. Paul Rowland don't even know this yet, but we're actually going to have a booth at the Hall of Fame, and we're going to be doing live interviews the night of. So we will see you guys there. We definitely appreciate that, and we'll be chatting soon with all you guys. So thank you so much.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you guys very much
Thanks
for
guys.
making the
Thanks, guys,
time
for
for
doing
us
this.
today.
Thanks, everybody. Great seeing everybody.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you
Good luck,
guys.
boys.
Thanks,
Doing
Jimmy and
good.
Donnie. Appreciate you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
So, what'd you think?
You did it, Jim. We pulled it off. I mean, it couldn't have gone better, right?
I mean, you know what? All the guys were awesome. Their answers,
Yeah.
their questions were awesome. I think a lot of good stuff. I mean, a lot of history about the game of softball. I mean, how could you go wrong with any of what we just heard? I think it's
Love it. I love
It's
that. That was a good time. That was a good time chatting with those guys and just kind of learning, different areas of the game. And, we
Yeah.
talked about, I love the jerseys. We saw some really cool jerseys tonight. That's my favorite part. Sharif brought up 3-4 jerseys. I think that's so cool. And I appreciate those guys very much for coming on. And it was a really good time.
Yeah, you know what I think also that stood out to me is the dedication, the passion of the amount of years that those guys played softball.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something that they were committed to the game that they love, and it shows. I mean, it shows in every single one of their voices when they talk about the game. You can see how
Yeah.
passionate they get, and I think that's an awesome thing. And I hope that a lot of the younger generation today sees that passion, and will continue to see that passion.
Yeah, man, that was a really cool thing that we did. I really enjoyed that. And, like you said, we'll be out there in the Hall of Fame chatting with the guys and just getting different, perspectives on it. I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate this show and watch it in different parts and go back and rewatch different things. And the passion from those guys is definitely recognizable, man.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree more. And I think, I know I went off on a little rant there in the middle because it
You did. You got emotional for a second.
Well, I mean, it's just like to the point of the change, like we need to do
Mhm.
something, right? And whether it happens this year or happens when I retire or whatever, it's, whether it's down the road or whatever, it has to change sooner than later, right? So
Yeah.
the guys that are running the show will hopefully, basically see that value and will continue to drive forward. That's all we can do.
Yes, sir. I agree, man. What a good time. I think Auntie Jenny made a comment in there.
Oh, did
Is
she?
that I think she called you annoying. Maybe she was talking about Anthony Tyler.
No, I don't think so. Maybe. I don't see it.
Jennifer
So-
Ann right there.
It says she's watching the video.
She commented so annoying.
Lane said cool show.
Yes.
Randy
I was
Nelson.
gonna say before we send it off tonight, a lot of really good comments in the stream. We appreciate you guys. Go back and share the show on Facebook, and we'll post it to social media. And get ready for next week. I will have a game tomorrow against each other, and then hopefully another TikTok dance arises out of that thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm looking
Yes,
forward.
sir.
So, Donnie, I will see you tomorrow night. What, 9 o'clock? I think is our game
9
time.
o'clock. 9 o'clock, my man.
Did you happen to talk to Adam?
I have not. I haven't talked to Adam much as of recent, but I can reach out to Adam.
I'll reach out to see if he can live stream. So
Cool.
very cool.
All right,
All right,
Jimmy.
man.
I'll talk
Well,
to you, man. Thank you.
You enjoy your night, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. You got it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and shout out to the Beacon Tap on the sponsorship, and we'll see you guys next week.